what is a wireframe? So a wireframe is a lot of different things. Just note down the word wireframe. And a wireframe consists of many, yeah, as I said, many different things. A blueprint of the app. It consists of how the app is arranged, just going through the list. How users, the people who use your app can find their way around the app. You know, if you're using YouTube, how you can find your favorite channel, the channel you're subscribed to. If you're playing video game, how you can actually move your character around in the video game, how you can find the settings. The app is also, of course, what you see on what the app actually shows people, the videos that you see on YouTube, the the setting of your video game, that's the content. And finally, the functionality. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be watching, YouTube is meant to watch videos. Okay, that's fine, Aiden. Thank you for letting me know. YouTube is meant for watching videos. So that's the functionality of the app. So just honestly, if you were to think of one word to describe a wireframe, just consider it a blueprint. That's probably the best word. Hit by Aiden. Blueprint of the app. That's a wireframe. And okay, another cool fancy term. We're gonna have a lot of these. Tech stack. It's basically, yeah, as you can see here, a lot of interesting words, programming languages, frameworks, databases, tools. Think of a tech stack at the end of the day as a toolbox. It's basically, a bunch of different tools in a toolbox. But I wanted to talk about some of these other concepts because if you're here or watching the recording, these will be important to know for today's booklet and also in future sessions. We have programming languages. We talked a little bit about them in the AI part of our class, but a programming language is basically how we can talk to computers. Interestingly, computers actually communicate in ones and zeros. If you've heard of binary code, that's, those are computers. So they communicate in ones and zeros. Programming language is how we talk to the computer, how we get the computer to do whatever we want. And then we have frameworks. These are a little bit like programming languages. They're mostly pre-built code. In fact, let me just get the official definition of a framework. But they're basically, yeah, they're basically pre-made environments. They're pre-made environments. They're pre-built lines of code that help you build an app. That's basically all you need to know. It's like the setting, of a video game, basically. It's like the setting of a video game. Sometimes you start in the mountains and you build your way through. That's what a framework is, basically. And it makes, the process of building an app a whole lot easier. And these frameworks also have tools. So think about, the biome you spawn in if you play Minecraft or any other RPG game or any RPG game, the tools that you find in the local biome. So the biome itself can be seen in some ways, not exactly, but in some ways it's a framework. Then you have databases. This is actually surprisingly a kind of a common word some of y'all might have heard of. If you haven't, a database is basically where data is stored for your app, and it allows your app to actually get content and have access to a lot of information. And also, it helps your app use that information. Also, when we click on, let's say, YouTube, we subscribe to a channel, we're giving that app data. When we click on a YouTube video, we're giving YouTube our data that we like that video, or we're seeing that video. If we subscribe to a channel, we're giving YouTube the information that, we want to see more of that channel's videos, gaming channels, whatever channels you watch. And of course, tools or platforms. It's kind of like, toolbox. And if any of y'all are tech oriented, I have a few examples of each of them next to it. I'm not going to go over these examples. Take a look at them though. But yeah, unless you really want to, go into it. You can just, stay focused on the words themselves. We have tools and platforms. Platforms, it's kind of like a framework in some ways, but a platform is what holds everything. Platform is where you program, basically. So let's just go over them again. A programming language is how we talk to computers. A framework is like the foundation or structure of an app, and maybe not a biome. Maybe it would be more like the way the biome works, uh, just mapping it to biomes, like the kind of, the amount of rain that a certain area gets, or how tall the trees are. Those kind of rules are in some ways what a framework is. And you have databases where all your information is stored, where you still store, all your gold in a video game. And finally, you have tools and platforms. This is where you store, this is pretty self-evident. The tools are kind of what you use. I don't know what tools you have in your RPGs. Sometimes you have pickaxes in Minecraft, especially, a few other stuff. And platform is kind of where you do everything. In some ways, a platform is more closer to a biome. So yeah. And okay. Now this is both an app development and an entrepreneurial topic. A lot of y'all will probably go on to start companies in the future, especially using the knowledge you get from, about AI and app development. So a minimum viable product is very important. The purpose of a minimum viable product is to get feedback from the people who want to buy your product and use it, and people known as investors, people who want to give you money to make more of your product, basically. And you want to, in many cases, you want to kind of, be wrong with your minimum viable product. You want people to point out your mistakes so you can make it even better. But what's important for a minimum viable product is it should do exactly what you want to do. If you want to build a minimum viable product of a, let's say, a video game, you want player to, at the very least, be able to win or lose the video game. If you want to build a minimum viable product of, let's say, a flying car, at the very least, you want to show people a car that, can somehow stay off the ground. It should do what it's supposed to do. And yeah, as you can see here, there's a diagram. A minimum viable product is not where you show people the wheel and hope and one day build a car. It doesn't go in this progressive thing. You need to have some kind of car ready. Likewise, a minimum viable product is not where you go from a scooter to a car once again. You want to have some form of car ready. So as you can see here, you have some form of car. I think in this case, there's a guy pushing the car. That's still a car though. And then eventually, as you get more and more feedback, more and more people tell you your mistakes. They tell you ways, more importantly, they tell you ways you can make it better. Yeah. That's where you go from, this kind of pickup truck that requires a person to push it to, a pretty cool looking car. So that's a minimum viable product. In an app, you want to have an app that can do whatever you want it to do. It could be anything. It could be an app that wakes you up in time. It helps you, stay on time for school, helps you with your helps you with completing all your homework, helps you with your sports practice. If you play basketball, helps you with your basketball drills. Whatever you want, it needs to do that. It doesn't matter how good looking it is. It doesn't matter how successful it is. It really just needs to do that. And from there, you keep moving on and on and on. And you keep pushing. Okay. And I think one word that describes all of this. So I want y'all to, at least now all of y'all would have heard about a wireframe, tech stack, minimum viable product. Y'all might still not even understand the first thing about these words, but just merely hearing about these words itself sets the tone for you to understand, app design. And when you hear these words again, you're going to start understanding things a lot better. So I'm going to wrap this segment up with us talking about a prototype. This is a key part about of well, honestly anything of app design, of starting your own company, of artificial intelligence. If y'all are interested in robotics, of building robots, it's a model of something. In short, it's designing an early sample of something. Now, not so you could consider wireframes and minimum viable products, MVPs, in short, as types of prototypes. But prototypes can honestly be anything. And prototypes, unlike minimum viable products over here, prototypes don't need to be working. They just need to show the person, they just need to help you tell someone what you're trying to build, what you're trying to design. In the case of an app, a prototype can even be how your app is supposed to look, what it's, one part of it. For example, if you want to design a prototype of YouTube, you just really want to show people how you're able to uh, click, click through videos. In many cases, you're able to write comments underneath videos. It could be anything. So that's a prototype of anything, of an app. It's a simple model of something. And we'll probably be building a lot more of these, in the next classes. I'm I'm just debating whether I should put this as homework, but I think, given that we don't have too many people in class today, I'll pause on that. And okay, so this is actually the last slide of this presentation. So we've just got to look at now, and then y'all are, free, y'all are done. You guys made it so far. We covered a lot of different things in this presentation.